The team already knows that the dream of 2025 has evaporated without mercy. No championship, no concrete progress, and a season that forced the engineers to abandon the SF25's development far too early. The team arrives in Las Vegas, trying to secure second place in the constructors' standings, but with a considerable deficit to Mercedes and Red Bull. Charles Leclerc and Hamilton remained stuck in the midfield, and Lewis himself admitted that the decision to focus on 2026 made this year far less exciting. And then the unexpected happened. Amid pressure, mistakes, and the inability to turn small upgrades into real results, Ferrari made a bold strategic decision. Instead of insisting on the current concept, they will abandon the front suspension pull rod system and return to the push rod, exactly following the path McLaren adopted earlier, the one that completely changed the orange team's performance. But will this change fix Ferrari's structural chaos, or will it only mask deeper issues? McLaren was courageous when they moved the steering arm behind the lower suspension arm. It wasn't just a technical detail, it was a new vision of aerodynamic flow, stability, and development freedom. Mercedes has already copied it, and now Ferrari, even reluctantly, is heading in the same direction. It's not a coincidence, not a trend, it's a necessity. The pushrod opens a wider margin for evolution, offers more predictability, and improves the interaction between aerodynamics and suspension, exactly where Ferrari has been suffering the most. What no one expected was that Ferrari would be so convinced about this change, especially because their rear suspension upgrade in Belgium was an almost embarrassing failure. The team tried lowering the forward arm of the upper wishbone, hoping to improve balance and predictability. It did improve, but barely. And with the budget cap, it was impossible to redo everything again in 2025. That's why the move to pushrod in 2026 may be Ferrari's last breath to deliver Hamilton and Leclerc a car capable of fighting for something real. Only, this decision might not be the main headline. Could the climate chaos in Las Vegas become the unexpected protagonist of the Formula One weekend? Or are we about to witness a race where the weather promises more excitement than some teams have shown on track? What nobody expected was this. Even before the cars hit the track, Las Vegas was hit by a severe flood alert that put the entire paddock on high alert. After a sequence of unusual storms, the U.S. National Weather Service placed the region under a warning. Thunderstorms capable of turning parts of the city into real rivers for hours, lightning, thunder, and flooded streets, right in the middle of the desert. You can already imagine the tension inside the teams that arrived for the Grand Prix expecting sun and glamour, but found uncertainty and risk instead. But can this really impact the weekend? The official forecast says the worst should be over by Wednesday morning, exactly before media activities begin. However, there is a detail that nobody ignored. There's an approximate 30% chance of rain for FP1. 30% may sound small, but on a newly built street circuit full of irregularities, that's the perfect recipe for mistakes, red flags, and, of course, endless speculation. Las Vegas has a unique asphalt with characteristics that change drastically when wet. Grip drops fast, track temperature collapses, and rubber doesn't stick. That means that even a light drizzle completely changes the team's data reading. Is Formula One about to make one of the biggest strategic mistakes of recent years? Or has the sport finally found a way to escape the monotony of one-stop strategies? What? The discussion exploded in the last F1 Commission meeting, when the FIA, the teams, and Formula One management put on the table the idea of imposing at least 2 mandatory pit stops in every Grand Prix. The justification seemed reasonable. With Pirelli's tires becoming increasingly durable, almost all races followed the same script. Identical strategies, little variation. But would forcing something like this really bring variety, or just turn the grid into a predictable, rigid parade? Paddock sources say the overwhelming majority of teams rejected the idea immediately. The main argument is simple: the more rules, the less strategic freedom. And when you force everyone into the same minimum number of stops, you risk achieving the exact opposite of what you wanted. Mario Isola, Pirelli's chief, warned years ago that this kind of rule brings dangerous side effects, and he repeated the warning. When everyone is forced to follow the same path, they all end up replicating the same strategy at almost the same time. Even so, The debate peaked when FIA representatives warned that with the way Pirelli is evolving, almost all future races might turn into one-stop events. And then comes another provocative question. Is the problem in the rules or in the tires? Andrea Stella from McLaren went straight to the point. According to him, there's no use changing the sporting regulations while there is no clarity about how the tires will behave under the new 2026 regulations. He asked for caution. James Vowles from Williams was even more technical. The issue isn't how many stops you force, it's the difference between compounds. If the difference is tiny, everything will be identical with or without rules. Has Red Bull finally run out of patience with Max Verstappen? Or are we simply seeing the beginning of an internal war that could flip the paddock upside down? What nobody expected was that the team, for the first time in years, would end up in the center of a controversy created not by rivals, but by a direct statement from Zak Brown. And then the unexpected happened again. A new phrase was born, circulating through the paddock, the Max Verstappen rule. Zak Brown didn't hold back. According to him, Red Bull lives in submission to the Dutchman, and more. Everyone inside the team is afraid to contradict him. It's a heavy accusation. Brown claims Verstappen built his own small monarchy inside Red Bull, turning the team into something fully shaped around his needs. And when he puts it in writing in his new book, the provocation becomes ammunition for a political explosion inside Formula One. Then comes the most delicate point. Verstappen scored practically all of Red Bull's relevant points this year. His teammates Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda can barely keep up. Brown's criticism is direct. Any competitive driver who could challenge him would never be hired. He cites Carlos Sainz as the perfect example. In his view, Red Bull let the Spaniard go not due to a lack of talent, but out of fear of creating turbulence for their number one. And then the unexpected struck once more, the fall of Christian Horner, fired after the British Grand Prix. Brown says that long before the dismissal, it was clear who the real boss inside Red Bull was. To him, Verstappen held more influence than any executive, and that was always a taboo in the paddock. But Verstappen, contradicting the pressure narrative, says he has nothing to lose. And that kind of statement, from a driver who has already won races starting from the pit lane, shakes the entire paddock emotionally. In Brazil, he showed he can still cause damage. Even with a penalty that took him off the grid, he finished on the podium. And that reignited the debate. Did Red Bull's new engine bring back a real chance of winning in the remaining races? Yeah.